What's up, you beautiful PewTubers? It's your boy, Neuro Nomad. I wanted to talk a little bit about beautiful red dots. Red dots on pistols primarily. And when I talk about pistols, I am primarily speaking about handguns. Although there are some awesome pistol AR red dots that go on rifling AR, but I do want to primarily talk about handgun pistols, pistols that go on a plate on a handgun and open you up to the wide world of red dots. I do have a couple of products, one of which is right here. This is the Vortex Fire 2, I believe. It does have red-green application. It's basically a generic Pro, a generic Aimpoint Pro, patrol rifle optic. It's significantly cheaper. It's built pretty well, aluminum grade, aircraft aluminum grade. The dot is very good. The problem I have when it goes to things like the Fire and the Viper is you do not have that battery power of constant on, shake awake, set it, forget about it type of features. So I'm going to break that down a little bit more here in the show off between the Vortex Viper and the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro. So first I want to talk about everything is mounted on. Currently, Vortex Viper is mounted upon the FNX 45 Tactical, and the Leupold DeltaPoint Pro is on my Glock 34 competition pistol. I've been utilizing these two. I have probably about, I'd say give or take 2,000 rounds within this. Within this one, though, I have about 5,000 rounds through it, probably more. And then with this pistol AR, I only have about 500 rounds through. So I am going to mainly be speaking upon these two. Let's break into the Vortex first. So Vortex is a one-time magnification. It sits on an awesome plate that I had from FNX or FN. FNX 45 Tacticals come with about, I think it's 2 or 3 base plates. One of them which fits the Vortex Viper, fortunately for me. And it actually does a really good job. It is a steel plate that you put on. I put a little bit of lubing underneath it. Then I put a little bit of, I cleaned it off up on top and then placed it on there for the Vortex Viper. It is a red dot, and it's classified as a bright red dot. It has a 6 MOA. Now, I don't mind that when it comes to personal defense. I don't know if you guys can see the dot. But it is there, I promise. Now, personal home defense, I don't mind that because when I'm thinking like how close is an engagement possible, with this, seeing as though this sits beside my bed on a magnet right beside my bed, I'm not worried about hitting things 100 yards, 50 yards even, shit, probably like 25 yards even. I'm worried about, the feet aspect. How many feet? I'm sorry, I've got a little bit of a cold, so I apologize. This does offer unlimited eye relief. It is max elevation and windage adjustments is 120 MOA, which is pretty significant if you ask me. That is rather large. Now, it is classified as parallax free. all of these that I'm going to be talking about today are parallax free. It is 1.8 inches long and weighs in at 1.03 ounces. Now, when they were weighing this, I am going to assume it was without the battery. Big reason why is because the battery is not held in by anything aside from these two screws clamping down on the actual pad. So there is no battery compartment that closes, latches, or anything. There is an O-ring that encompasses the battery. It doesn't touch it very much. So when I take these screws out and I pull this up, the battery is going to be left on the actual firearm. Now, what does this do for me? It pisses me off because placing this on this handgun is a lot more difficult. Not saying it was difficult, but a lot more difficult than it needed to be. Any sight like this is going to be a little bit more difficult to put on. It's going to be the possibility for corrosion and outside environmental factors getting into the battery component area, and also the area that holds the electronics is a lot more. It is not a fully encompassed red dot. It definitely is possible. It holds the possibility for corrosion. And that's what worries me. Because at an MSRP of $350, according to Vortex Optics website, that's expensive corrosion. Now, with the beautiful warranty that is Vortex, I would tell you that it benefits you too. If you're getting into this game and don't know if you're going to like it, start off with Vortex. Vortex is phenomenal. Their warranty is the best I've ever seen for any product anywhere that I've ever experienced. Vortex is, no questions, they stand behind their product. Do they put out a phenomenal product? I think so. For what it's priced at, for what it is a phenomenal product. Unless you have astigmatism or something like that with your eyes, where you are going to need that higher grade glass. You're going to need, I don't know a lot about this stuff, but I know my buddy has astigmatism, and he sold me this because he couldn't get a hold of that. Like, he just did not like the fact that it's just a star to him, as opposed to a dot. So once again, it is a single piece chassis, and it is waterproof and shockproof. That waterproof comes from that rubber O-ring that encompasses the battery. And as long as you have this thing tightened down to specs, you're good to go. It does have something called Armor Tech on the lens, which makes it resistant to scratches, oil, and dirt. And the battery life is 150 hours on highest and up to 30,000 hours on medium or low. With that said, I don't keep it on. I should. I probably will starting after this video, but I don't keep it on because I'm worried about how long it's going to take. If it's on, it's constant on. Kind of like DeltaPoint Pro. It's constant on, but the battery is just amazing. I think DeltaPoint touts like 50,000 hours on medium. So I don't know what the classification is for low on this, but I mean, I don't like a huge dot, so I do have it on middle to low. So from here on out, what I'm going to do is, for you guys, I'm going to keep it on all the time, and I'm going to see when, if this ever runs out. Vortex Viper has not let me down. It's a fantastic red dot. I absolutely love it. I've taken it to the range plenty of times, shot it outside. It's not lost zero. It was super fucking hard to get to zero. And I find that with most Vortex optics I have, it's a lot harder to zero those in than it is something from like Primary Arms or something from what else have I messed with? Leupold or even Trijicon. It is more difficult. Now, when I did look at these, there was Trijicon was into the conversation. They were in it. I saw the window on the Trijicon, and I did shoot a couple of Trijicon RMRs, and I don't mind them. But after I saw this and looked at the window in this, I couldn't go back. I just straight up could not go back to Trijicon due to window size. Now, is Trijicon bomb-proof? This, that. Yeah, man, Trijicon is great. It's a fantastic product. It's just not on par with what's going on here. And this is what I'm about to get into. So the Vortex Viper point, I forgot to say, does have 2 set screws in the back. You can't see this because of suppressor height sights, sorry. But there are 2 set screws in the back that basically lock these two, the windage and elevation, into, basically they lock it in. So in order for me to change the 0 on this, I have to take it off, unscrew the set screws. There are 2 of them right here and right here. And I have to go ahead and adjust the windage, adjust the elevation. And then once I get that in, basically I have to Houdini myself into keeping the battery locked in and placing it on the actual plate, and then screwing it down, all without the battery detaching from its connectors. That was difficult. That was a really, and that's where that difficulty factor did come into play. Other than that, it's been a great sight. I like it. Like I said, I'm going to keep it on for the rest of the time now, and I'll check back in with you guys. Now to my favorite. I went to a USPSA shooting competition this weekend, and I could tell you that a majority of people there are shooting these right here. And it's kind of a contest. I say kind of because it's not very, there's not a lot of people in the other court, but it is a contest between the DeltaPoint Pro and Trijicon MRO. Now, if I was to go Trijicon, I would definitely go MRO. I don't think I would be looking at the RMR for anything other than maybe my 19X Glock or a Glock 19 or maybe a 43X or something like that. Something smaller, just so that the footprint is smaller. But I am so happy that I went ahead and purchased the DeltaPoint Pro as opposed to the Trijicon RMR, because at one point I was a fanboy and was thinking to myself, well, in order for me to be cool and look cool, I need a Trijicon. Well, get past that. Like this, yeah, get past that. So this is the DeltaPoint Pro. It is, once again, one-time magnification, so it's basic. You look through it, that's exactly what your eyes see. This is a 2.5 MOA, red dot. So that means that when I look through this and see a target, you know, down the town, like, you know, 50 yards or whatever, it's going to be a smaller spread across that target. So it's more of a precision type optic. And that's what I need in carry optics and stuff. So we do have, it is a push button type. So instead of the things like the brightness settings being on the side over here with the Viper, the brightness settings is on top, and it is basically you push it and it goes up, and then it gets to the highest, and then it starts going back down. There's no up and down like it is on the Vortex Viper. I do think this is a better setup. I think what would be cool is if DeltaPoint put a, you know, put finger right up here for up and finger down here for down. Unfortunately, they did not do so. It is, so when you are going ahead and changing your windage and elevation, it is 1 MOA per click. Now, I think it's different with the Vortex Viper. I believe it's 2 MOA, or if I'm not mistaken. The max elevation for the DeltaPoint Pro is going to be 40 MOA, and windage is going to be 60 MOA. So there is a lot less adjustment abilities for the DeltaPoint Pro than there are for the Viper. Battery life. Now for the Vortex Viper, like we said, it is 150 hours on high. Well, on the DeltaPoint Pro, you are looking at 300 hours on high. You are also looking at 1,000 hours on medium and 1,600 hours on low. That is not a lot. That is where this thing right here freaks me out a little bit. It does have a saving grace in the fact that it does have motion sensor technology. So basically, if I leave this bad boy alone for 5 minutes, it automatically cuts off. Now, it turns immediately on as soon as it senses anything shaking. So, I mean, basically, I could hit this table like that, and it'll cut back on. So that 5 minutes of leaving it alone will cut the battery off, and save battery life for this component. It has been impact tested and verified with 5,000 impacts on what Leupold calls the Punisher. Now, the Punisher is a machine component that basically beats the shit out of this thing. They put it through 5,000 hits. If anything was hurt, busted, whatever, they went ahead and took it back to the drawing boards and they changed it up. And they made sure that this thing was reinforced and up to specs for typical to, I'd say, typical, moderate, and high exposure to the environment and all of the things that we need it for. It is made out of aircraft grade aluminum, and it is rated for -40 to 160 degrees Fahrenheit. So it definitely is able to be beaten up and taken across multiple environments. When it comes down to it, are there negatives for both of these? Absolutely. The one negative about Leupold that I could think of right off the rip is going to be the battery. Now, a huge, awesome thing about the battery within the Leupold is the battery is able to be changed out up top. So without taking this off and possibly having to readjust, re-zero, whatever, this is able to replace the battery with a little flip switch up here. You take it off, you put the CR, I think it's a CR 2032 into it. Both of these, by the way, are CR 2032s. They're super easy to get. You can find them at any Walgreens, CVS, Walmart. Amazon has like a 10-pack of them for, whatever. But that is the only downfall that I see with the Leupold, is going to be battery life. Now, what do? I change the batteries once a year. When I'm about to go into a competition or something, I'm going to bring multiple batteries. I did not last time. I totally forgot. There's the one thing I didn't do. Kind of pissed me off, but whatever. I am going to do that next time. This is shrouded also in another aluminum housing. So there's a shroud outside of the actual housing. But yeah, that's what we got. DeltaPoint Pro for the win. Vortex Viper is not bad at all. I thoroughly enjoy it. EOTech is coming out with a red dot, which I'm super excited about. I'm probably going to buy one to throw on my Glock 19X just to see how it looks, how it acts and how it is. It's going to be around the 370 price point, so I will let you know from there. All right, I'm out. Till next time, guys.